Hello class and welcome back. This is going to be one of my clunkier videos if that's possible because I'm holding an iPad and we were doing a couple of things out here with the students that were in the classroom today, and I just wanted to point out to everybody what we did here. The students who were here on Thursday and Friday, we had a pretty cold day. It was a lot of fog blowing in. We didn't get to go outside in the sun like this. One of the things we started pointing out was the shadow on the basketball court. Again, a lot of what we're doing here in the third trimester is review, and you might remember that as we went through the seasons, the shadows get, of course, longer as you go into winter, and the students were challenged to say, hey, what's the shadow doing now? Well, it should be getting a little bit shorter each day. Why? Well, that. The sun is getting a little bit higher in the sky for the same time each and every day as we move towards June 21st, which is, of course, the first day of summer. And then, of course, the sun will start getting a little tiny bit lower in the sky. If you want to have the sun straight overhead, you might remember we reviewed that. You'd have to go down closer to the equator. It never really quite gets straight overhead here. The best you're going to do is on June 21st, when it's going to be up at an angle around 78 degrees. So you never get that straight up and down 90 degrees around here. So we talked about that with the basketball courts. As I'm walking over to the other place where we went with the students, on the field over here, we've had the red-tailed hawk today, and myself and Mr. Sewell saw one of the red-tailed hawks chowing on a gopher just this morning. And when we're talking about the raptors, we were talking about how raptors, owls, red-tailed hawks, can see into a part of the spectrum that we can't, which led us to this part of the schoolyard. Why? I was showing a cell tower up there. Now, when you text somebody and you're in class and you're texting away and you say LOL or something like that to the person that you're texting, it goes up to that cell tower. The radio signal goes up to that cell tower. The microwave signal goes up to that microwave tower, I should say. The point being, let me put this down for a second. Golf club with me to point things out. The point being, it's a type of light that we can't see. Our eyes are not tuned, and neither are owls, but our eyes are not tuned to see that kind of light, but it is light nonetheless. It is still part of the electromagnetic spectrum, just like the light that's coming in from the sun, hitting me right now. You can feel the heat. Now, the raptors that are out here, they have an advantage in terms of being able to see into a slightly different part of the spectrum. They can see heat. In other words, I can feel the heat right now, warming things up. The sun is warming up the ground down here, which is awesome. Again, Thursday and Friday students were out here freezing, so we did it very, very quickly. But the point being, the raptors that we talked about with Dr. Guccione at the beginning of the week on the owl pellet dissection on the Monday and Tuesday lesson, those owls can see, and let me walk over here a little bit further, when a gopher pops his head up from one of the holes like that, to them, hey, it looks like a light popping up out of that hole. They can see the light. They can see the heat from that gopher. And it gives them a tremendous advantage when they're trying to make a living as an apex predator. Our next stop when we did our little on-campus field trip today was simply here. And you look and you say, well, there's some weeds and some plants. There's a lot going on here. Let me go through a couple of the things that we talked about, which go exactly along with our class. One was, and again, I'm sorry about the shaky camera right here, almost like an episode of The Office or something. But if you check out the trees behind me, those are conifers. They've got little cones on them. I went over and bapped on the tree. I won't do it right now because it's a little difficult holding the iPad. But you see the yellow pollen come up. Ideally, if it's very, very, very lucky, this is that pollen that we see all over the place, gametes, you might remember. If it is very, very lucky, it falls onto another cone. It fertilizes. Two gametes get together, you get a fertilized egg, and what you end up with is a genetic diversity because the plants are able to send their gametes out with the wind to try, hopefully, to get a little bit of genetic diversity going. Now that's for a conifer, a cone-bearing tree. Check out, and I'm not sure if you can see it again with the iPad, up here, this is a flowering plant. You've got a flowering plant behind me right here. The flowers are looking for pollinators to come on by. As the pollinators come by, again, hopefully the pollen will go from one flower to either another flower right on this very same plant, self-pollination here on the plant, or to another flower of the very same species, but a different plant. And when that happens, you get some cross-pollination going on. You get, once again, genetic diversity. So some of the things that were going on right here in our schoolyard. Finally, the last thing is the PE class comes out here. I'll wrap this up. I'm going to show you the seeds. We've all done this before, where you get those seeds that come off the plants and they stick onto a person's shirt or something. My son is great at wanting to throw those at me when we're on a hike, and they of course stick to your shirt. The other day when I was bicycling home, I looked down and I actually had one stuck to my shirt, because I'd been out here with the class doing the demonstration, talking about seeds and such. And I realized when I was bicycling home, I'd given this seed a free ride across town, and I aided its genetic diversity by helping it spread out to a new environment. If you look at the seeds that are around here right now, you're looking at a preview of what we're going to be doing with Dr. Cuccioni next week on plant structure and function. One thing I'll be focusing on, and a pollinator just went by, a bee just went by my head. We'll be talking about how plants reproduce and how they spread themselves throughout an environment. Okay, that's where I'll leave it today. Look please for the notes online. They're in your Google Classroom. They will also be out there on pacificascience.org. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful week 32 and a nice Monday. Bye-bye.